Hello, today is the 11th of December 22 and I have a new design. It's not really new, I've designed it 2-3 years ago, but I thought now it's time to show it. It's a resistor substitution box that I built for 8 decades, ranging from 1 ohm to roughly 10 mega ohms. It's completely built in SMD. I'm using MELF resistors, not mini MELF, MELF 0207, I think it's the correct type. And I'm using MELF because they are much more reliable in means of power. They can handle a lot of load, pulse loading, much more than normal thick film SMD resistors. They're more stable, and for the same size, that is roughly the size of a 1206, they can handle 1 watt. It is normally that would be a 2512 that you have to use for this power. Anyway, this is how it looks. I unscrew it, the top bezel or front plate, how you call it, it's a PCB. It's from GLC PCB. It looks quite nice. I'm using Thumbwheel switches. The whole accuracy and stability of this design relies on the Thumbwheel switches used. Here I'm using Thumbwheel switches that are extremely cheap from AliExpress with not the best contacts. You will see that because I get an offset of almost 2.5 ohms because of the switches. Using accurate quality switches, of course, you can go down to less than ½ an ohm of offset, and this is a value, an accuracy value, and that you would pay a few $100s when you buy such a box with that specs. Here you can see the MELF resistors. I'm using miniature PCBs that I designed so that I can solder the resistors on it. These PCBs are directly soldered on the switches, so I have absolutely minimum connections, the smallest connections possible, and these are daisy chained, as you can see here. And then with a 2 millimeter thick wire, I'm connecting it to the front. At the front you have banana plugs and a screw terminal, whichever you use. Now let's see how it looks. Connecting it to my Bryman. By the way, I like the Bryman much more than any fluke one. Pricely and from the data they are far away. So here you can see the offset. As I said, the offset is due to the crappy switches, Cheapo Thumbwheel switches I'm using. 1 ohm, that is 1 ohm plus 2.5 ohm offset. Again, different switches, better switches, you can go down to less than 0.5 ohm offset. Let's go it up to, that's 10 megs. For me, the reason I built that was to, when I'm designing timing circuits, it's much easier to change the resistor than the capacitors. And I don't want to use all the time a million resistors to change. So for that, this thing is absolutely adequate. I don't care about a few ohms, offset, etc. But if it would be necessary to make it as a standard, then the switches have to go, and much more expensive switches have to be used. The thing is that the switches then would be the most definitely the most expensive part of the whole design. These are the mini PCBs I use. They're panelized with VCATs. V-Groove, I think it's called. V-Groove, yeah. You see it here from GLC PCB, and that's the front plate. It is an easy and very inexpensive, if you accept the offset, build for a resistor substitution box. Gerbers and bombs are available. Okay, cheers and thank you.